Hey guys! So today's task is performing lawnmower maintenance, and I really love actually performing lawnmower maintenance. You know, for as long as I can remember, I've always wanted to learn how to change oil myself and not rely on someone else to do it. And I started doing that with a lawnmower. This one, in fact, this John Deere Z435. And it's super easy, and so I want to walk you through how to do that today, as well as changing the air filter and changing the fuel filter. And we do this at the beginning, I do this at the beginning of every season, so that the engine on this baby can work as efficiently and cleanly as it possibly can throughout the entire season, so we don't have to worry about it running too lean or not running well at all. So, like I said, at the beginning of every season, I change the fuel filter, the air filter, and the oil filter, as well as the oil, of course. You can't change the oil filter without changing the oil, to make sure that everything's running smoothly all season long. So I'm going to walk you through how to do these things today, and you can see how easy it is to perform these things yourself, so that you can take it on and feel confident and try it at home by yourself. So I'm going to start with the easiest thing, and that is the air filter. So let's take that off right now. Here's the back of the lawnmower. So we're just going to, here's the air filter. We're just going to remove these wing nuts. Okay. The other one. Okay. Oh, and look at that. So it's covered in grass, and that's not what you want. So, I don't know if you saw that. So this is locked in with this thing. Push it down, and then you just pull the air filter out. Covered in grass from a whole season's worth of use. See some grass here, so I'm just going to take that out. Make sure it's all clean. So, opened up the air filter, the new one. Okay, this is the green slip that goes over it. It's the pre-filter. So I'm just going to put that on. Okay. And then this side has a hole. Where are you? This side has a hole, and this side does not. So it obviously only goes in one way. So whole side in first. Line it up and push it in. And that's good. So once it's in there, we lock it back in place with this clip. Okay. And then we put the cover back on. So that was easy. Super easy. Took 5 minutes or less. The next thing to change is the fuel filter. And we do this again, just like everything else, as I mentioned, to keep the engine clean and running smoothly through the season. If the fuel filter becomes grimy, it can actually cause the engine to run too lean, and we don't want that. So change the fuel filter. It's easy. Here we go. Let's do it. Okay. On this John Deere Z435, the fuel filter is right here next to the engine compartment. This is the gas tank. So the fuel filter is next to that, and it's right here. So I'm going to be taking that off now. It's got these little metal clips holding it in place, so we just have to move those. You just squeeze them, and that loosens them up, and then you can move them down the tube here, and then easily get the fuel filter out. There we go. Okay, okay. Okay, there we go. So now we just pull on this tube here. Or this one. Let's pull on this one. Kind of giving it, the fuel filter, a twist as you're pulling. There we go, got one end. You'll probably get a little bit of gas on your fingers, that's okay. They'll wash. I probably should be wearing gloves. There we go. Okay, so this is the way I took it out, right? And you see the arrow there. The arrow indicates the travel direction, indicates the travel direction of the fuel, right? So you wouldn't want to put it in like this because fuel is not traveling into the gas tank. It's traveling out of the gas tank. So point the arrow in the direction that the fuel is traveling from the gas tank. So this is the old filter. And here's the new one. And there's the arrow. So I'm just going to put it in like this. Slides right in. Okay. Slide in the other end. Nice and easy. And then get my pliers back out and tighten up the little clips. So now I connect it to those white clips inside next to the engine itself to keep this tube in place. And that is that. The new filter is in and the old one is out. So now we move on to the oil. All right, so I was about to move on to changing the motor oil and the oil filter, but we are out of 4-cycle engine oil. So I have to buy some of that, and then I'll be back. All right, you guys, so I have everything I need today. I had to hit pause on this project a couple days ago so that I could buy more 4-cycle engine oil, and that's what I've done. So I've gotten that out of the way. In order to finish this job and change the oil, you need 4 things. The first of those is a new oil filter, of course. You need 4-cycle engine oil, but of course. And thirdly, you need an oil pan that will catch this oil so it doesn't get all over your driveway or wherever you're doing this job. And then you need, I don't know what this is called, but it's specific to oil filters and getting them off with a little bit of help. So you kind of use this as like a jar opener. Just gives you a little bit more leverage and allows you to take it off a little bit easier. So you need those 4 things. I just let this engine run a little bit, and that kind of gets everything warmed up, gets the oil warmed up so that it runs out smoothly and isn't just cold in there. It takes a while to come out. So run the engine, and then the oil should flow a lot easier. So I put the oil pan underneath the lawnmower, and now I am going to disconnect the tube that allows the oil to drain out. So let's do that now. Okay, so here's the tube that you need to disconnect. This is where you input oil, and this is the tube that you need to disconnect to drain it. So I'm going to do that now. So on this lawnmower, it's in a little case that helps to keep it in place. So you have to push it down out of that, and then it can come loose. So now I'm going to open it up. Okay, now that the top is off, I just point it down towards the pan. To get this to drain a little faster, you can open up the place where you input oil just kind of creates an air pocket. Open that up, pull it out, and then the oil should drain faster through this. Where'd it go? Okay. There we go. All right. So now we wait. Now I'm going to remove the old oil filter. Okay. So on the left-hand side, facing the back of the lawnmower, the oil input is there, but the oil filter is actually over here on the right side. You can't see it very well at all, but it's below the fuel filter. I can't really get a good picture of it, unfortunately. There it is. It's right there. Try it with my hand first. Oh, this time it came off with no problem. All right, so I'm about done here. Before I put on the new oil filter, there's a few things that I need to do. And one of those is to put the hose back in place. Otherwise, when I add new oil, it'll just drain right out. So I need to put that back in place. After I removed the old oil filter, I also cleaned up the area around where I removed it from. It had a lot of old oil there. I just cleaned it up, dried it off, prepped it for the new oil filter. So I'm going to put the hose back in place now, and then we can add the new oil filter and then the oil, and then we're done. All right, come on. So here's the hose, here's the casing that it goes in, just to kind of stay right there in place. I'm going to add the cap back. Here's the new filter, and before I put it, let's take off the wrapping here. Okay, here's the new filter. Before I put it on, I'm just going to lightly coat the gasket with some fresh oil. That helps it to kind of suction in place. Okay, here we go. And lightly coat it here. Okay. Good. And now I am ready to put this on. So this lawnmower takes about 56 ounces of oil. This is 48. I have a few ounces left in here, so I will put this in first, and then add the other stuff, add the other jug, and then we will be all done. All right. Okay, so the last thing you want to do is take a clean towel and rub it along the underside of the new oil filter to see if you get any oil on here. And if so, just tighten it up a little bit. So I got a little bit of what looks like new oil on there, so I'm going to tighten it up just a pinch. All right, so now we want to turn the engine on and just let it run for a minute. Let it run this new oil through the system, and then check again to see if any oil is leaking out from where the new oil filter was placed. So let's do that. And again, there's a little bit there, so I'm going to tighten it even more. All right, so I'm done. Lawnmower maintenance is done. One thing to note, and that's the oil in the oil pan underneath here. What do you do with that? Well, for us, and what you should probably do too, rather than just dump it out somewhere, is put it into a clear plastic milk jug that has a cap. Dump it in there, and then call up your local reclamation center, or take it to an O'Reilly, like a lot of O'Reilly's Auto Parts and a lot of AutoZone stores take used motor oil off your hands for free. So give your local AutoZone or O'Reilly's a call, and then see if they'll take it off your hands. And a lot of them will. So that's what we'll end up doing, is we'll take it downtown and drop it off, because it's easy and it's free and it's good for the environment. So that's what we'll do. What else? So how often should you do these things? We do it annually, but we should probably do it more. A lot of these things need to be done every 50 hours. Actually, I have a book right here. Let's take a look. We mow so our farm, it takes about 2.5 hours to mow the entire thing. When we first moved here and we were kind of figuring out the landscape and how to mow it, it took 4 hours, but we've cut that in half. So we're not putting as many hours a year on the lawnmower. So every 50 hours or annually, whatever comes first, change the oil, change the filter, of course. Let's see, and every 100 hours, change the spark plugs, the air filter, the fuel filter, and the mower belt, or do that annually. So, and also change the blades. So what we do is we change the blades annually, and we change the air filter annually. So I think we could probably change the engine oil a little more often. So I'll have to make a note about today's date and the hours that are on this thing, and then put it on the calendar to change it probably mid-season, because we do run it a lot, especially if it's one of those summers that's hot and humid and just not dry. The grass grows quite quickly out here, so got to keep up with that. So we've had this lawnmower for about 4 years, and I have not changed the spark plugs yet, but I will do it this year because I bought spark plugs for it, and I bought a spark plug wrench. So I'm going to change that this year. We got this lawnmower brand new, but I feel like this is the year to actually finally change the spark plug, so I'm going to do that. So that's it, you guys. Super easy, super fun to be outside and to do something super productive like this. Yeah. It's good. It's really good. I like getting my hands dirty in this way, like literally dirty, covered in oil. It's great. It's fun, and it's really, really easy to do. So I'll put the service details in the like the service intervals in the details of this video for you, so that'll help. You can reference those if you have questions about when to do things. And that's it. So thank you for joining me today, and if you like this video and you want to see more like it, please like and subscribe, and I hope to see you next time, either on the run or on the farm.